You're listening to the Frequency and Flow podcast with Brie Couric, episode number 57. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing the 4 things that human design has given me and how you can use the system of human design to give yourself more of these things too. So let's dive in. In 2022, one of my personal and professional goals was to get myself on more podcasts as a guest. So not my own, but as a guest on other people's podcasts. And if you happen to find me through one of these podcasts, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here because the past few months have been a journey of me getting to experience other people's podcasts, as well as creating my own podcast as well. And one of the common questions that I've received as I've been a guest on these other podcasts is that often the hosts ask me to tell them a little bit about human design for people who don't really know much about it. And the key word being a little. Tell me a little bit. And honestly, that is a great question because in order to understand why something's important, it needs to be simple and clear and concise for someone to understand what it can do for them or to intrigue them about what that potential thing you're talking about is. And human design is such a complex system that a lot of people, even people who are experts, even the guides, the mentors, the coaches that you see out there, a lot of people struggle to answer that question of tell me what is human design and why is it important? They struggle to answer that in a succinct and informative way. And I do think this applies to other systems too, such as astrology or Enneagram, or even just marketing and business in general. I feel like a lot of people struggle to be able to communicate in a clear and concise way, like what the system is and what it can help you with and what you can expect from it. And even as someone who prides herself on being clear and concise in my marketing and how I communicate with other people, I even struggled at first when I got this question because human design is not just one system. It's the integration of multiple systems, of the Chinese I Ching, of astrology, of the Indian chakra system, and of the Kabbalah, which each of those systems on their own are very complex and in depth. And so when you speak to human design, it's especially hard to be able to speak about it to answer the question of, can you tell me a little bit about it? Because it's such a vast system. But the truth is if you can't speak to the purpose and usefulness of something in a way that is simple and is succinct, I'm just going to say it, you probably don't have the expert level knowledge of the system that you think you do. Your ability to be able to meet your audience where they are at from their first introduction to being an experienced practitioner of whatever that system is that you work with, that is what makes you an expert of your domain. So as an expert, as someone who knows a lot about human design, about gene keys, about marketing and business in general, if I can't meet my audience or meet a client where they're at, that means I'm not really the right coach or mentor for them, right? Or the best. The people that are really, really great at what they do are the people that can craft that vast body of knowledge and tailor it to the people or to the person that they're working with. And that, to me, even if they're working with someone who's like, if I'm working with someone who's barely just dipping their toe in human design, my ability to take that vast system of knowledge and craft it to their level of understanding is that is what makes me an expert, not my ability to just get into all the details and confuse people that I work with. So sorry, that's a little side tangent. But it's not only important for your craft itself to be able to simplify and streamline that system that you're talking about, but it is crucial for your marketing and your ability to sell that craft as well, to be able to speak to it in a simple, concise, but persuasive way. Like, why is this important? So, like I said, I was recording a podcast recently where I was actually the second human design expert that this host had on her podcast. And when we were planning and going back and forth, she said she really wanted to have a second human design person on because the first person that she spoke to actually left her more confused and more overwhelmed with the system than she was before the expert came on to her podcast. And as someone who just, is very service oriented, really prides myself on what I do and how I bring it to the world, it kind of broke my heart a little bit because, of course, as you can tell, I love human design. And so leaving someone, it's a complex tool, right? So leaving someone in a place where after an expert comes and speaks to them about it and leaving them in a place where they're more confused, they're more overwhelmed, it broke my heart, honestly, because, that is the opposite of what someone who is an expert should be doing. They should be helping someone understand no matter what their level of knowledge is at. And so when we finished recording our episode, she actually told me offline that she said not only did she have so much more clarity around human design from our conversation, but it truly made her want to learn even more because she finally understood why it was is such a powerful tool. Now that is like one of the best compliments I've probably ever received in many ways, like getting someone excited about something that's exciting for me, helping someone go from overwhelm to a lot more clarity and like resonating with the system that I also love so much. Like she probably gave me one of the best compliments I've received in a long time in that way because she just, it all of a sudden things clicked and made sense and she wasn't so overwhelmed by this tool. So think about what a gift that is from a marketing perspective, that no matter, taking away the specificity of human design, like whatever your tool or system, your experiences are, your area of expertise, if someone comes to you and they're already bought into the why that it's important, that makes your job of selling so much easier. So this isn't just from a service perspective. This actually translates into revenue. This translates into clients. This translates into the important things from a business perspective, as well as from a personal and relationship building perspective. Your ability to take what is complicated and speak to it in a simplified way is super, super important. And so, that got me off on a tangent a little bit, but what this experience has taught me or has really had me reflecting on the past weeks and months is how can I put words to the why behind the things that I'm passionate about and what I do, and specifically human design and marketing strategy. Why is human design such a great system and tool? And why have I come back to it over and over again over the course of years? Yes, I could talk about what the define centers mean, and I could talk about the types, and I could talk about the gates in your profile and blah, blah. I could go into all the levels about the things that are important to know about it. But why? Like, why are these things so important? And I think a lot of human design experts, like quote unquote experts or people who've gone through certifications, they're really good at explaining the what, like what it is, like maybe what it tells you, but they're not really good at summarizing or giving like that concise summary as to the why behind it. And so when I think about this for myself, I think about like, why do I love human design? Like, and to me, it kind of came back to like, what has it given me? Because it's given me what I now have kind of figured out or like reflected on. It's given me 4 very important things. And these aren't necessarily tactical things, but they do definitely translate to how I do my business, into how I find clients and work with clients. And it's definitely translated into being able to have messaging that attracts the clients that I want to be working with at a place where they are ready to be working with me also. I'll just get into it. The 4 things that human design has given me, which is the why behind, why is it such a great system and tool, and why do I stick with it, and why have I been using it for 7 or so years now? The first thing is that human design has given me more clarity. So I know I've used the word clarity a few times already in in this podcast episode, but what do I mean by human design giving me more clarity? So, human design has given me a framework to understand my own intuition and alignment. By understanding very clearly what my intuition is telling me and whether things are in alignment or not, that is clarity. Like that doesn't leave things up in the air. It's very easy for me to know what's a yes, what's a no, or what direction to take, what actions to take, what paths not to pursue or to pursue. It's helped me more quickly recognize where I've perhaps gone off course, and therefore can more quickly take action that I need to get, quote unquote, back on track. And it's helped me cut through all of the noise and the chatter and distraction to come back to what is most important and best for me, because human design is a tool and a framework to help me understand my own intuition, what it's telling me, and what is in alignment for me. So why? Why has human design given me more clarity? Let's get into the specifics a little bit. So human design is both my operating manual, like my human operating manual, and also my guiding light. So as an operating manual, I still use my strategy, my signature, my not self, and my authority to recognize and take action on the invitations that I receive. As a projector, right? My strategy is to wait for an invitation and then use my authority to decide whether that invitation is right for me. So this is the very first thing that you learn about human design. And this is interesting because I think a lot of people are quick to get into like the nitty-gritty of human design, but the strategy, not self, signature, and authority are 4 aspects that are the first thing you learn, and the things that I still constantly come back to year after year after year. And now that I've years into my own experiment. So when I do feel myself forcing or initiating, it reminds me to slow down and wait for invitations or invite invitations instead. And using my splenic authority and how that relates to my mental authority as a split definition person helps me cut through that noise and make decisions much more easily and efficiently. And so understanding my channels and gates helps me, going even deeper, right? So we're starting at strategy, authority, self, and not self. But then I can, that's a great starting point, but then getting even deeper into my definition and then even into my channels and gates helps me lean into my strengths more and just be able to say no to the rest rather than trying to be everything to everyone. So it really helps me filter out the stuff that just is not important or isn't right for me. And that's how it gives me so much more clarity, is because it's very easy. I have a framework to know what is a gift of mine, what's not, signals that I know when my intuition is telling me and what it's telling me. And all of that gives me more clarity to make decisions and take action more quickly, more efficiently, with greater ease, like without it just draining so much energy going back and forth in my own mind. The next thing that human design has given me is that human design has given me more creativity. So what do I mean? Human design has first and foremost broadened my definition of what creativity is, like full stop. I used to think that creativity was art and music and literature, and it is all those things, but it is so much more. It's helped me also understand my own unique brand of creativity so I can build, my own playground or my own system, like structures to enable the flow of creativity in my own life. Why is human design great for this? Like, why do I love human design and how do I use it? So diving into my incarnation cross, I can see what my genius is and how to activate that. I can use it to see how I best serve others and what I activate in others to help them step into their own journey. I can use my profile to step into the roles that are the easiest and most impactful in terms of the way that I bring my work into the world. And going even deeper, understanding my own circuitry, definition, and even the variables, I can put myself in environments and conditions that support my creativity rather than hinder it. So by redefining what creativity is for me and being able to put structure that supports my creativity has made all the change in the world for me, and human design has given me that. The third thing that human design has given me is more compassion. So what do I mean by more compassion, right? So everyone has things that about themselves that they believe to be weaknesses. I was very much raised to believe you have strengths and you have weaknesses. Where places where you feel that you are either too much or you're not enough. Places where you might feel like you're broken, like I just don't operate this way. Or where you ask yourself, or you ask the question, why can't I be more like so and so who does X, Y, and Z? Like, why am I the way that I am? But the beauty of human design, also known as the science of differentiation, is that it teaches us that you are meant to be unique, that you are meant to be different. And those things that make you too much or not enough from your perspective, those are on purpose. Like, you are uniquely, perfectly designed, right? Like, whatever your design is, there's no such thing as a bad design or a bad aspect of a design. It is all exactly what you need to go through this life. And so what you might have previously perceived to be weaknesses are just things to be aware of. There's nothing wrong with you. Everything about you is the way that it's supposed to. You're supposed the things that you're supposed to come into this world with. And yes, there are situations and experiences that leave different imprints on us, but at the fundamental level, you came into this world perfectly. Everything has its benefits, everything has its gifts for you to tease out. You just need to either understand how to tease it. Well, first of all, you have to understand that everything is a gift, and then from there, be able to tease out exactly what that is. There's no such thing if you're looking at your chart and you think something is, like I said, it's a bad design or a weakness. I really invite you to try to see things differently, because from my perspective, there's no such thing as a bad design or a weakness in your design or anything like that. All of those shadows and weaknesses and triggers are there to help you grow and evolve. They're not there to hold you back. And like I said, what you are given at birth is different. Everyone's life experience is different, and there are systems of privilege and things like that. But in terms of what the energy, your blueprint, your energetic blueprint was given to you upon birth, there's nothing that's here that you were given that holds you back from that perspective. There's nothing that makes you less than in terms of what you were given within your human design. And when I finally started seeing things this way, it was probably the biggest game changer of all for me in my daily life. Everything has its own gift when it comes to your human design. Everything has a learning for you, a lesson for you. Every definition or activation you have is a gift in its own way. And because what you might have perceived to be like a jail sentence, if you look, you're like, oh, that's a weakness in my chart, and you see it as something that's a jail sentence, it's actually an invitation to become a more whole, loving, and evolved version of yourself. And you understand that about others. So it gives you more compassion for all beings in the long run, right? Like you end up getting more compassion for yourself, and you have more compassion for others, because you understand that they might have their own things that they're working on, but we are equal. They are equally deserving of compassion, and that just makes things better all around. So why has human design helped me with more compassion? So I kind of described it a little bit already, but when I look at my centers, like to get more specific, when I look at my centers, I know what areas of my life where I might feel like I'm too much, like quote unquote too much. Those are in your defined centers. Or places where I feel like I'm not enough. So that's typically in your open or undefined centers. And going into even deeper layers of human design, I can see which of my gates are activated in undefined centers. And so I can see the shade of the filter that colors that feeling of not enoughness. So you can get really deep into things and really get specific as to how that feeling of not enoughness impacts on a much broader scale than what you even imagine. I like going again even deeper. I can look at my variables and know that when the variable has flipped into a transferred state, that particular variable has flipped into its transferred state, it's not saying that I'm wrong or broken. It's just saying that there's something to pay attention to and to maybe take a different action or make a different decision or pivot in a new way. It's a tool of bringing awareness to what's happening. It's not saying that you're wrong for being that way. All the different little nooks and crannies of myself, all the deeper layers, and knowing that everything about who I am is on purpose in terms of the activations that my chart has. It has given me a level of self-love and respect that is off the charts, honestly, off the charts, compared to the ways that I used to mentally torture myself previously. I used to be the type of person who had this mental loop in my head of like, why can't I be better at this? Why is so-and-so better at this? Like, why do I keep failing when I keep trying this? Like, why is this so hard to me? Why do I have to keep forcing this? And having this extra level of compassion, which has just come through human design has given me that tool, or given me the ability to have more self-compassion, has significantly, if not completely, well, it's still there, but I'll say significantly, like, decreased the amount that I find myself going through those negative mental loops. So the last thing that human design has given me is more confidence. And what do I mean by this? So when I have these other three things, the clarity, the creativity, and compassion, the result is more confidence. Funny, did you notice these are the 4 C's? Clarity, creativity, compassion, and then now we're talking about confidence. More self-belief, more trust, more autonomy, all of those things lead to greater confidence. And more confidence doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you won't have to acknowledge that maybe you made a mistake and you could have done things differently. But it enables you to step out of your comfort zone and try new things because your foundation is stronger, more stable, and more integrated than ever before, because you have the tools and the results from experimenting and working with these tools that can buoy you up, and they give you something to come back to when the waters start to get a little choppy. So when you have the clarity, when you have the creativity, when you have the compassion, all of those things have given you that foundation that gives you that buoy of confidence to be able to either jump off of, to evolve off of, or to come back to when you realize like waters are a little choppy. You can always come back to there, and it's you're not starting at ground zero necessarily. So why has human design given this to me? So human design is truly what you make of it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in you have to study this 20 hours a week to be good at this or to have any sort of understanding of it. I mean that in a way where it will meet you where you're at, and it will give you benefit and value no matter where you're at or what you're willing to commit to it. So now that you're here and you've listened to this, ask yourself, what am I looking to get out of this system and out of this tool? What do I need more of? Which of those 4 C's, again, clarity, creativity, compassion, and confidence, which of these 4 C's do you want more of? Do you need more of? And how much time and energy do you want to devote to that? There are no wrong answers. If you say, I have 10 minutes a week, I have 5 minutes a day, all of that's fine, but it's just about being honest with yourself. Just as human design is the science of differentiation, there's no right way to explore human design or to play with it, to experiment with it. And it's not better or worse than any other tool or system out there, but it is a tool that has been a game changer for myself and for many others. What I'm saying right now is resonating with you. Maybe that's your sign to dip your toes in, maybe just a little bit deeper than where you're at now, so you can add more clarity, more creativity, more compassion and self-love, and more confidence into your life using human design. And if aligning your business and your marketing strategy to your human design is something that is calling to you, you can take the first steps forward in my new free workshop series, Human Design, Marketing Strategy, and Business Alignment. This workshop series lays the foundation for creating and implementing an effective marketing strategy using your human design. A marketing strategy that aligns with your unique energy so that you can continue to grow, build, and scale your purpose-driven business with less force, less frustration, and less burnout. You can find the link below in the episode description. And if you liked or resonated with what you heard today, make sure you share this episode with your business besties, tagging me at Brie Couric, or leaving me a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. In the next episode of the Frequency and Flow podcast, I'll be discussing an introduction to how you can use the wisdom of the gene keys in your business. I'll see you there.